Dulce is a quiet, unassuming town nestled in northern New Mexico. Many of its residents are members of the Jicarilla Apache tribe. They swear.
I tell stories, but my nose isn't growing.
They are not making this up.
They threw down a ladder from that spaceship, and then two small people started climbing down.
Jerry Julian says she had her first extraterrestrial encounter right here on her Dulce ranch about 40 years ago.
It was huge. I just saw the bottom of it. You know, it was like flat like this.
Many of her neighbors claim similar strange sightings.
Fat in the middle and kind of like rounded on the sides. You're speechless, you know? You just don't know what to think, you know? It's just like, it's like nothing you've ever encountered before.
Why are stories of the extraordinary ordinary here?
I do not know. I do not know. Probably in kind of that big mountain we have right there, you know.
Rumor has it there is a secret base hidden underneath the Archuleta Mesa here. The mountain overlooks Dulce. Some people in town say the base is run by aliens working with our federal government to conduct mind control and genetic experiments. Do you believe that?
Yeah. Well, a whole bunch of people seen it, you know.
Like the ground opened up, steam coming out of it.
They also claim they've seen some creatures cooked up in those experiments, like Bigfoot and something half-human.
Down this way, the waist down, it's a goat. It has a tail. But up here, it's a man.
People tell me Dulce wasn't always a center for supernatural activity, but then sometime in the 70s, things changed. That's when cows started turning up mutilated.
They just cut out in between the legs right here. We seen one.
I know it's not a predator it's doing it. There's someone's doing it.
Local police never definitively said who's to blame. Locals say it has to be something out of this world. And since then,
I was taking a random picture, zoomed it in, and there it was. There was a UFO right there.
they say they know it sounds crazy.
They're just going to ask me, well, how much did you drink or what did you drink?
I'll submit to a lie detector test or anything, you know?
But say it's the truth. Question is, do you believe?
Anything impossible these days now.
In Dulce, Megan Cruz, KOAT Action 7 News.
Oh shit. This is the Weird Shit Podcast.
Is that a joint, man?
And I wouldn't flaunt your ignorance.
Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
See what?
You guys see that new Infinity Avengers movie?
Yeah, I saw that.
With the Black Panther and America guy?
Yeah, I saw that movie.
It's pretty cool.
I thought it was weird how, like, the elves made that laser weapon.
That was pretty weird.
And, like...
They totally ripped off that other movie, though. That movie from the 90s, Phantom Menace.
Chain Reaction?
The finale of that movie. It's identical.
Almost the exact same film.
Shot for shot.
Like, I was really surprised and thought it was brave of them to include Jar Jar Binks in this movie.
They might as well have, for as much as they copied it.
Welcome to Weird Shit Podcast. This is Mike.
Penis. This is Hammerstein.
Hammerstein. I'm joined by Hammerstein and Penis, apparently. Penis and Hammerstein. Oh my god, it's like Rogers and Hammerstein. You guys are like the worst like musical writers ever. This is Penis and Hammerstein. God, I love it.
We only write penis.
And this week, first thing I got here for us is some paranormal news. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it because holy fucking shit, the topic this week is gonna be ridiculous. So
did you guys see that new Avengers movie?
That shit was dope.
It set like 2 records for number of people watching it.
And best movie of all time. Was fucking dope. So the first thing I have here is a story from a dude who claims that throughout his life he's been stalked by the Michigan Dog Man. He says the first encounter happened in 1986. He says, quote, "It was summertime. My childhood had a great group of very normal, everyday kids, and we played war a lot with each other. Normally about 6 of us played together through the day, with kids rotating back home for chores, etc." Those were the kids that got put in the camps by Charlie. This particular particular Saturday, we decided to play war behind the Alto Elementary School in the Woods and Creek area. Anyways, I was trying to get in the woods ahead of the other kids before they showed up, to have the advantage. We were using squirt guns and water balloons. It was like 10 a.m. As soon as I ran into the woods, which I knew very well, this was my stomping grounds, literally, I felt uneasy, like I was being watched. Not by a friend, either. This feeling lingered and got stronger and stronger, like whatever was watching me was moving closer. In this small stretch of woods, there was a creek behind me that ran the stretch of the woods. There was a train trestle / railroad tracks as well. I was crouched in the tall grass, facing the playground and the road, when I heard a splash and very fast movement going behind me. I jumped because I was startled at the height and suddenness of the shadow flashing behind me. When I whipped around, I saw a large black or gray wolf-like creature that was running down the creek bed bank alongside the creek behind me. It was shifting from 4 to 2 legs and jumped about 3 seconds into the brush away from me into the trees. It seemed to have disappeared, and I didn't hear it anymore. I was a country / woodsy kid. I had no comprehension other than fear for what I saw at that moment.
I just imagine it was like running like a dog, and then it like stood up and was pimp walking, and then it like went back to running at him.
Yeah, I could see that. Like it was wearing a zoot suit, like those ones from the old Tex Avery cartoons.
That's exactly what I'm picturing.
Is you is.
Oh, is you
ain't my baby.
My number one bitch.
So he says, I ran home, which wasn't far, about 1/4 mile. I didn't tell anybody what I saw. I was afraid of being teased or made fun of about it by other people. You saw a werewolf.
You saw a werewolf, pimp, loser.
You almost got eaten. When I ran in my house and got to my bedroom, it had only been like a few minutes, but I remember thinking it resembled the werewolves in the Howling movie I had seen a few years before that. That movie is horrifying, by the way. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Never seen it.
It's fucking spooky. It's got Jack Nicholson, and he's a werewolf, and it's spooky.
Yeah, but why would I want to see a Jack Nicholson movie when it's not him as the Joker?
Fair enough. It was, I'd guess, about 7 to 8 feet tall and very muscular, maybe 300 pounds. Its head resembled a timber wolf with long canines, long clawed hands, its legs bent backwards like a canine. It looked like my grandmother. No, I added that. It glanced back at me. It didn't want me to see it.
Come here, child.
It didn't smell at all. So he didn't smell it at all.
I was wearing sunglasses, so I couldn't get a good look at his face.
I was
Said the fucking like Unabomber thing with like the hood and the sunglasses,
doing the pimp walk.
Like I was a little mustache.
Upwind. The moon was at a 35-degree angle from the southwest sky.
The wind was at 25 knots, just blowing my eyes all over the place.
I couldn't smell the creature at all.
Morning dew still lingered in the air.
Why is this guy going into so much weird detail?
My nipples were hard.
It was about the beast was approximately 7 foot 6.5 inches, maybe give or take 1/4 inch.
Meters.
My testicles throbbed.
Which is where pee is stored.
Pee is stored in the balls. Changed my mind. Its face was not feral or ferocious. Its eyes were blue. Its presence was powerful and overwhelming.
Almost sexy.
I didn't go out of my own yard for several days, which my neighborhood friends thought was odd. I had childhood asthma though, so that it would have been easy for him to catch him.
Yeah, like what?
Like obviously you can go after the asthma kid.
Yeah.
If you're a
How did the asthma kid
werewolf.
get away?
Like what happened? Did he get distracted?
He
Maybe
just,
he
like-
saw a squirrel. He's like running at him and sees a squirrel out of the corner of his eyes.
And no, he
Jumps
just,
in a
he just
tree.
like runs at him. He's like, I almost got you. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Nah, just playing.
You get out of here. No one's gonna believe me.
I'm a werewolf. He like grabs his shirt and like pulls it up close, and he's like, "They'll never believe you."
It's cool. I'm actually vegan.
You have any tofu?
Do you know where I can get a chai around here?
This child is not free range.
Yes.
Imagine like people are werewolves, like where we swap roles, but instead of werewolves, like we'd be chickens. I guess it's a free range thing. It's
Just like runs up out of nowhere. Let me get a chai latte.
That's a free range kid right there.
I only eat turkeys that I shoot, but it's like it's like fucking the werewolves talking about humans. Like I only eat cavemen out in the wild.
I only eat children completely unsupervised by their parents.
I don't buy store bought human. It doesn't have the same.
I'm on paleo. I only eat cavemen.
Have you guys tried CrossFit?
I try.
You tried Crosswolf?
Paleo diet. I only eat cavemen. It makes so much sense.
I never told a soul what I saw for fear of not being believed. I stayed close to my friends when we played, but I didn't go close to that creek or those woods for 3 to 4 years, and never alone. Being an 11...
How far away was this from his house?
A quarter mile.
And he never went there for 3 years.
3 to 4 years.
That's only a quarter mile. It's like
right there.
It's like from here to the end of the street.
Well,
I'm pretty sure he is there. He lives there.
That's his yard.
I mean, that thing,
that thing is him.
He was
The
looking.
same fucking
He was
guy.
actually just looking down into the creek, and it was a fucking reflection of himself. Damn, that thing's huge. He's like, damn, that thing's huge. Why is it so hairy?
I am hulking.
Just freaks himself out because he's starting to go through puberty. It's like... flash up to 2008. I'm 33 years old. My profession at this time was personal fitness trainer, and recreational bodybuilding was my lifestyle.
He became a personal fitness trainer
Crosswolf trainer.
because he saw that wolf and went, damn, I want to be that buff.
That wolf is jacked.
I want to
What's your
make it
workout
my.
regimen, bro?
I want to. I want free range children.
It's literally like ripping a kid in half in front of him. What's your workout regimen like?
I get 76 grams of protein a day, and then I do a lot of cardio and howling.
I sniff a lot of butts.
I chase my tail for
What kind of supplements?
I chase my tail for at least 30 minutes a day. Get my heart rate going.
50 reps. We resided in a quaint house about a mile north of Lowell, Michigan. It had a very pretty, welcoming, woodsy area behind our home, and we all enjoyed walking the trails in the woods as well. It's wintertime, 2009. It's a blizzard of snow outside. All of my family was sound asleep. About 1 a.m., we wake up to a large thud sound on the roof of our home.
It's Santa!
Like the weight of a person just drags the kid up the chimney. Just like blood sprays out. Like fucking Evil Dead. It's like, holy shit!
Oh no!
That was not Santa!
Santa like rolls up, sees what's going on, and just keeps driving.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
They are clearly naughty. Let me just check my list a third time.
You just cross that kid's name off the.
Shit, F, dude, he's dead.
We wake up to a
Hit my
large
first
thud sound on the roof of our home, like the weight of a person moving around on the roof of our one-story home.
How come all homes are quaint? I don't think I've ever heard someone describing a house in one of these types of stories and not go, it was a quaint home.
Yeah, it is pretty quaint.
Sometimes it's a pretty good diss.
Is it,
Your
what is-
shield.
what-
How quaint.
What is quaint? Is it similar to taint?
No, but it should be.
It's only a few letters off.
I don't know. I think some taints might be quaint. I
There
think that could
are
happen.
quaint taint.
Let me Google that real quick.
There's a lot of scraping noises and a slow, deliberate walking sound. Like...
It's the pimp walk.
This goes on for about a minute. My girlfriend and our children and myself are genuinely spooked by this phenomenon happening on the roof. I recall vividly that all of us were utterly silent, huddled in the hallway, looking intently at each other and up at the ceiling from all the loud creaking, scraping sounds. I don't own guns, but I certainly felt it was a good idea to grab my machete that was in the closet. Cuba represent.
I don't
Gotta
believe
grab
in
that.
owning
Gotta
guns.
grab a machete.
I do believe in the blade.
Yeah. I live by the
I
blade.
had my quick draw machete in the closet.
He's just got like an Assassin's
I
Creed
did-
replica, like wrist blade.
I didn't have enough time to run into the back room and grab my 72-foot katana.
He's
Dude.
like, forgive me, master. I'll have to go all out.
Texas,
Just this once.
Texas, you can fucking open carry a samurai sword. I'm totally gonna carry a machete.
Oh, absolutely.
Like everywhere. Like why wouldn't I? It's in my blood. It's like if the world ever floods, I naturally know how to turn anything into a boat because of my Cuban heritage.
It's true.
So I can do the same thing with a machete.
That's racist.
It's factual.
I don't know.
You ever turn an oven into a boat?
No, why would I want to? There's a lot of holes in it.
Me either, but I bet I can figure it out. It's a gift.
Can you turn these headphones into a boat?
Probably. Give me like
365,000
3
pairs
hours.
of them.
Give me 3 hours. I'll do something.
You're just like hanging.
Just like this, like hanging from the ceiling, like both middle fingers. Oh shit. So, dude grabs his machete. That was when I realized the dread feeling in my gut was the exact same feeling I had years ago with the wolf-like creature from my youth.
That sounds like an indie band name. Headphone Boat.
I thought you were gonna say werewolf creature from my youth.
Yeah. I thought you were
It
going to
also
say
could be.
dread feeling in my gut.
Dread feeling in my gut.
It's a good song title.
As I struggled.
Up next. Headphone Boat.
And werewolf from my youth.
Hey guys, we're Headphone Boat. This is a song about making a snowman.
And we're a werewolf from your youth. This is also a song
about making a snowman.
It's called
with your intestines.
This song is called Quaint.
Quaint-tank.
Quaint-tank.
Quaint-tank?
Play Quaint-tank.
Sure. So, let's see, machete, blah blah blah, same thing. Same thing I saw as a kid, blah blah.
Perfect nightmares. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Let's see. I had genuine fear for my girlfriend and children, but kept it to myself. They were still huddled and scared, watching me sneak outside. Please know that I'm rather a fearless man for the most part.
What?
Well, not to brag or anything, but
I've read over 200
I have
naval
no
novels.
idea what fear is.
I only have 2 fears, and one of them's commitment.
I only have 2 fears, one of which is that I'll never feel fear.
It's a curse. It's a curse, it really is.
It's snowing hard, big flakes outside, and it's eerily quiet.
And I'm scared of big snowflakes.
Me too. They always got katanas and waifus. I'm holding my breath, looking up at the roof and listening. Slowly, the clawed hands and Timberwolf face with piercing blue eyes peers over the roof down at me. Yes, it's the exact same creature I saw in my youth. We stare at each other blankly for a few seconds. There definitely was a weird sense of recognition between the creature and me in those moments.
And then his tail started wagging furiously.
I was physically frozen and
I'm just
shocked.
thinking of the scene with Mac and Dennis just staring at each other like across the restaurant. He's like eating a kid.
He's ripping the child in half.
Yeah, he
Just like-
already drug one of the kids up the chimney while he was like sneaking outside. He's like, just like takes a bite of the kid while like still looking at him. Be fucking hilarious. Not hilarious. Child death is not funny, but it would be kind of funny though. It's a funny image.
It's a funny tragedy.
If you think about it, it like it only kind of hurts inside. So it suddenly leaps off the roof about 30 feet into our backyard. It lands on all fours, then runs onto two legs back into the tree line in what seems like a blur. It's standing there at the tree line looking at me. The contrast of the snow and its size and fur make it easy to spot. I hold still while the wolf-like creature and myself stare each other down. We stare at each other for, I'm guessing, a minute. In that minute, my adrenaline dumped. My fear of this creature turned to anger for it disturbing my life, my family. He just like shits his pants. That's like,
oh, thank God, it's gone.
It's like my adrenaline
I was
dumped.
holding that in for so long.
My adrenaline dumped, but what he actually meant is my adrenaline made me dump. Just like the most hyped shit he's ever taken in his life. Like Dragon Ball Z. Like the same thing.
I'm so fucking amped.
Face me, wolf!
Starts flinging shit at each other.
Pegs it on the side of the head with his own shit.
His whippers.
My fear of this creature turned to anger for it disturbing my life and my family. I made a decision as my anger grew. A reckless
My
one.
hand tightened around the hilt of my machete.
So you said that as a joke.
The faint whiff of poop in the air.
I yelled a loud, angry noise and charged, machete in hand, directly at it.
I believe it.
Pathetically, it took me like 15 seconds to run the distance the creature had in like 2 moments. The wolf-like creature didn't budge, move, or anything. It just stood there watching me run at it. It appeared mildly amused, its facial expression almost a smirk. It's like,
Your
you
power
don't
level
even
is
live.
puny.
It's like
It's less than 1% of mine.
Bro.
You've worked 30 years to become as big as this. Pathetic.
Your taint is quaint.
How quaint.
and a taint. How quaint.
Us werewolves have no taint.
We just have a second pair of
Our balls are directly connected to our anus. No vulnerability.
It's just a fist.
It's another werewolf face.
I'm pretty sure that's just a hernia.
It's just really small, so you don't see it until you get close.
It's like an angry chihuahua.
Oh shit! Just punch it in the taint.
Other dogs come up to smell his butt, and he's just like, fist butt.
Just got sock
Get away
him in
from
the
my
nose.
anus.
Got to sock him in the nose if they get too aggressive. If it
That's my purse.
let's see. It appeared mildly amused, its facial expression almost a smirk. As I got within about 30 feet, in my head, loudly I hear audibly, "Don't!" It's a deep, loud voice. I swear the sheer volume of the voice stopped me dead in my run at the creature. It was instantly physically calm, confused, still afraid of the creature. My fear of it was different for me.
Hold on. I thought he said he didn't have any fears.
I know. He said
Now
he
all
had
of a
no
sudden-
fear. Now all of a sudden he has
he's
fear
scared
of
of
this
it?
creature.
He's rather a fearless man, usually.
Usually. Oh, okay. This is an unusual situation.
Yeah, I'd say. He's being attacked by a wolf.
He should have gone all out just this once.
He should have
That's-
called Liam
that's-
Neeson.
That's who
So
said
it's
no,
like-
don't, was his master. No! Dude!
You'll destroy yourself if you use 100% of your power. At this moment, I realized this creature is intelligent. I dropped the machete in a physical plea, a gesture to not be harmed. I backed away in slow, deliberate steps backwards, still facing it. If it chose to be violent, it could easily kill or harm me from the physical appearance of it. After a few seconds, it turned and walked calm about 30 feet into the woods. Its presence faded, and it felt like it wasn't even there. I went back to my residence, looking over my shoulder the whole time. I was so bewildered. It was a very vivid, surreal feeling. My reality had been spun like a top. I'd go back inside, but I keep looking out the slider door towards the woods. I announced, "It's gone, girls." My girlfriend, age 31, her daughter, 10, my daughter, 11, walk into the dining room area from the hallway, asking questions in quiet voices. I hug our daughters, telling them it's late. It was just an animal that ran off. They reluctantly buy it. My girlfriend and I whisper about what happened earlier. It comes out that she saw it a month or so before, which then clicked to me. She had called me while I was running errands early evening. She sounded upset and scared. I was at a store. It's omitted, I guess. Only a mile from our residence. Yeah, redacted. Can't tell you he was at the fucking, like, Adam and Eve.
I was at 7-Eleven. Oh shit, too much information.
I was at Adam and Eve buying the new copy of Jugs and a werewolf dildo. I was home in like 3 minutes. When I got into the house, she said she lied and chalked it off to the neighbor's big Rottweiler. That was when I admitted my knowledge of the creature. Our daughters slept, but we really didn't. It was simply crazy. So, there's that.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty ridiculous. I can't imagine how I'd react bumping into a werewolf, but I'd probably grab a machete. Like, what else are you gonna do?
I'd battle him in discourse.
I'd challenge him to a game of wits.
Tell me, werewolf.
Riddle me this, werewolf. One walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs in the evening.
And has no taint.
Your mother! And then, like, open a curtain, and she's like, has her legs cut off. I'm like, fuck you, werewolf! Jump out the window.
Just throw, like, flash powder.
Fuck you, werewolf! So, the next story I have here, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Suicide Dog Bridge. So it's this bridge in Dumbarton, Scotland. It's really weird because, like, it's like a well-known phenomena that at this bridge, dogs will, like, walk onto the bridge and then, like, jump off to their death. Like, they just, like, dogs and it's been over 600 dogs have actually jumped off.
Did they ever think about putting, like, a fence?
Like a doggy,
like a
fence?
railing too tall for the dogs?
Or like a doggy gate?
Like something? But it's like a historic bridge. There's been over 50 dogs have died jumping off of it, and there's been over 600 that, like, jump off and, like...
You think maybe there's just, like, an invisible guy there, just, like, chucking dogs?
It's like waving an invisible tennis ball. They're like, oh shit, I gotta grab that ball. He, like, pretends to throw it off the bridge and then jump off the bridge.
What an evil bastard.
Fucking assholes.
He's just that character in Anchorman, played by Jack Black, where he just kicks his dogs off the bridge.
Now this is happening.
Except he's invisible.
You hit me with a burrito. So, they have been doing, like, tests and stuff at this bridge to figure out what it is, because, like, the old legend is that it's a thin place, which is, like, an old Celtic thing for where the spirit world and the real world, like, meet. Like, that's been, like, the old legend about it, because this has happened for, like, a long fucking time. But, so this guy, Dr. David Sands, did a bunch of, like, sensory deprivation experiments on the dogs, and discovered, they would smell mink. Like mink is, like, just would drive them crazy, like the smell of the mink, and they would jump to try to get to the mink. So that's what he thinks it is.
Weird.
So it might not be a paranormal phenomena at all. It might just be mink. So, so that's pretty crazy.
That place sucks.
Fuck you, dog suicide bridge.
Hate that bridge.
Fuck that bridge. The next thing I have here is in Arizona on let's see, where in Arizona is this? Phoenix, Arizona, on April 11th of this year at approximately 10:40. People saw like a whole bunch of UFOs, and it was captured on a 360 like weather camera, as well as a like purple energy beam that like spiraled, which was also captured on there.
That's pretty dope.
So that's pretty dope. If you want to look that up, it's the multiple UFOs and purple beams, Phoenix, Arizona. So it's pretty fucking dope.
I love purple beams.
Purple beams are the dopest beams.
Kool-Aid from space.
Just ask Mace Windu.
That's right.
The next one I have here, and the last story of the news stories for this week. So Tom DeLonge, also known as that dude from Blink-182, he has like his own UFO group. I don't know if you knew about this or not. It's called the To the Stars Academy, where he supposedly has like a bunch of like ex-intelligence people and stuff like that who give him information and work on all this stuff and everything. But apparently they've been picked up for a TV show just recently. And he says that they have proudly been working behind the scenes for weeks, briefing high-level staff in the U.S. government to help inform new national security policy dealing with the UFO subject, and also move the ball down the field for us all. I have personally been present in some of these talks and have had the honor of explaining my own vision for disclosure, communicating our intent at the To the Stars Academy to communicate the world's biggest story through motion picture, including all of you in further scientific study, and also engineer a technology that is so beyond revolutionary it can literally change the world. We've executed the first difficult steps of getting the DoD to officially acknowledge the UFO subject, but now there's much more to do. Again, I cannot stress how much your support matters. When you invest, we can make these films, build the machine, and continue to fly around the world and brief government representatives. This will all ignite change. Thank you so much. Invest in a new future at tothestarsacademy.com. But what struck me about that is like everything in that is about like, I'm gonna make money with this.
Yep.
Like I need to like turn this into a movie so I get paid and shit like that. And he's like, oh, I've been talking to high level staff in the US government, but if he actually had been, he would have named them, because then people could actually check to see if he had meetings with these people.
And he did not.
The reason he didn't name them is because he probably called up and was like, yeah, I want to talk to your boss. And they're like, ugh.
Yeah, it's not
and get like some flunky to talk to him. And he's like, I talked to this government flunky about my ideas to make a lot of money off of UFOs. Flunky. So he was the prime flunky.
Prime flunky.
So, oh shit, I actually had another news story. Apparently, archaeologists have discovered that in at least one dig that they found so far, that humans have been sailing since 130,000 years ago. Apparently, like literally, they found Neanderthal artifacts of like boats that Neanderthals must have made.
They just had like a Miami Vice speedboat.
It's like the fucking like synthesizer music, and it's like a Neanderthal and a Bigfoot like on the same fucking boat. God, that would be incredible. They're like fighting dinosaurs.
Just tons of cocaine.
They just found they found buried like copies of fucking Duran Duran on 8-track. Just like
carbon dating checks out though.
It's
like 100 million billion years old.
That's true. Shit is dope.
Or it was just like a surfer Neanderthal.
All right, all right, all right.
I thought it'd be more like. I have need for speed.
Mentioned again, one of the Hall of Fame events was sightings over Kirtland Air Force Base in 1980. Let's put that in context a little bit.
Well, there are some documents in circulation, which again, as most of these documents are, become quite a topic of controversy. They did involve a series of events, sightings over Kirtland Air Force Base, as detected and filmed by a gentleman named Paul Benowitz, who had a scientific technical development company there that had government contracts. In fact, his office resided virtually at the gate of Kirtland Air Force Base. And he lived in an area of Albuquerque which overlooked a portion of the Kirtland Manzano base area, and reported seeing a craft landing and over a period of time, and reported this to people. He also knew people in the military at Kirtland. According to the documents, an investigation ensued, and there was the military took an interest in his story. And as the story developed, it began developing quite a different character. As more information emerged, Mr. Benowitz was gaining information via his computer terminal, ostensibly from an alien civilization or life form, quite extensive material. And also he was led to believe the aliens were harassing or persecuting him, entering his home. And involved in all this was the account of a possible underground base or a facility near Dulce, New Mexico, which has also become more known in the field in the last several years. Then another element of controversy injected into this was the suggestion that what happened to Mr. Benowitz, or at least in part, was part of a manipulative government disinformation campaign. The idea being that he actually stumbled onto something that was real and pertinent and perhaps involving national security. And it was felt that some kind of damage control had to ensue to ensure that either his credibility would be damaged forever or he would essentially be negated as a credible source. And eventually the story became so obfuscated and complicated with peripheral elements that at this time I don't know if we'll ever know what really happened, but the plausibility exists that yes, he did stumble onto something, and perhaps he was the subject of disinformation, and to see how he reacted to it, and again, it's a story we may never know the full details of.
Okay. Now, to back up to the actual sightings, it was actually an area called Coyote Canyon on the eastern edge of the base. Now, some of these reports contained statements from military personnel, did they not? That they had apparently witnessed some of the same things that Benowitz was claiming to have seen.
Yeah, there are military personnel there, some of whom knew Benowitz, and in later years spoke highly of his credibility, and felt that he had not purposely or intentionally perpetrated any kind of fabrication or hoax himself, that they felt whatever he was involved in was either real and possibly anomalous, or again something was he was being fed information for someone's purpose, for their own ends. Whether these people will later speak out publicly, and whether the story will actually will gain a better perspective on it, that still remains to be seen.
So you guys know me. Normally, I have absolutely no fear of death.
Typically a fearless man, usually.
Normally, I am not afraid of anything, especially werewolves. So,
werewolves are punk bitches.
This week, I have a really fucking interesting topic for you guys that maybe you've heard of, maybe you haven't heard of, but we're going to be talking about the Dulce bass.
No idea.
Palmer, you know anything about the Dulce bass?
Yeah, it's the it's that type of song style where they drop the bass.
I was thinking it was something to do with like desserts.
Oh yeah.
Like that's how you begin prepping a dessert. You have to have the base.
The Dulce bass.
The Dulce bass.
That makes sense.
Does it have to do with dulcimers?
Hammer dulcimer metal.
So, the Dulce base is an alleged joint human and alien underground facility.
Oh shit! Yeah, I've been there.
Under under the Archuleta Mesa on the Colorado-New Mexico border near the town of Dulce, New Mexico.
Is that where we met?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where we broke you out of.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So, one of us might be an alien. I won't say who. Basically, this all started with a guy named Paul Benowitz, who was a ufologist in like the I guess the 70s was when he was like most active, but he had this idea that the government was having some sort of underground bases with aliens because they had signed a treaty with them in the late 30s, I think. It was like them and FDR signed a contract where like every year they can abduct X number of people, and in exchange they give us like technology. Is like what Benowitz had found out. But
I'll stay getting abducted.
But one of the bases that he talked about was the Dulce base, which he located apparently through like intercepting electronic communications that he determined must have come from an alien spaceship.
He was just like
just caught him as they went overhead. Had like a big like butterfly net on top of his roof, trying to catch transmissions.
Just like car transmissions falling out of the sky.
He like the worst video game ever. But basically, the Dulce base is a genetics lab, which is one of many deep underground military bases. There's also one at like one at Los Alamos. There's one that's in like California, and supposedly they're all connected by a whole bunch of tunnels with like maglev vacuum trains or whatever in them, so they like can zip from like facility to facility.
So it's like a Bond villain lair.
Yeah, it's across the whole country.
Yeah.
And they're all like interconnected because we do research in them with aliens.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course.
But the aliens that are there actually consider themselves as native Terrans, because they are an ancient race descended from a reptilian humanoid species which crossbred with sapient humans.
So they're native Terrans.
Yeah.
To our like European Terrans.
Yeah. We gotta come along fucking it up for everybody.
They are purebred and we are the melting pot of the world.
They are untrustworthy, manipulative, mercenary agents.
That's racist.
For another extraterrestrial culture called the Draco.
Where's the Draco from?
The Hogwarts.
The Draco are actually from
fucking Malfoys.
Let's see, where does it say? It doesn't say where, but we're basically Earth is one of their outposts, that they like come back by to check out every once in a while because they're busy being Draco all over the place. So
They think they so smart.
they thinking they brains so big. So like they also are the ones who supposedly create like mind control devices and things like that, or the Draco.
No,
we don't.
Is that where Cobra Commander got his?
Yeah, probably where he got his from. So one of the main people to talk about this is a guy named Paul Schneider.
Is that Rob Schneider's brother?
Yeah, I think he's an actor.
So
he's a stapler.
Stapler?
And my name is Paul Schneider. And
My
I'm
name
in
is Stapler.
the Stapler.
So
this summer's blockbuster hit.
Oh, I'm sorry, Phil Schneider. I said Paul Schneider.
That's his other brother.
That's the other one. Yeah, he does animated stuff.
Philip Schneider's life was a very controversial one. He was born on April 23rd of 1947 at Bethesda Navy Hospital. His parents were Oscar and Sally Schneider. And Oscar Schneider was a captain in the United States Navy and worked in nuclear medicine and helped design the first nuclear submarines.
Is that why the baby is nuclear?
Yep.
Yeah.
He went nuclear.
He was also part of Operation Crossroads, which was like where they were testing nuclear weapons in the Bikini Islands. So
Killed all those poor bikini-clad women.
like, but Philip Schneider is like, nah, but my dad was also part of the Philadelphia experiment because, of course, he would have to be. So Philip Schneider, according to himself and no other sources, was a black budget government geologist /
architect
engineer, and
so he was Indiana Jones government edition.
It belongs in a museum.
This
belongs to the government.
A state-funded museum.
And he looks like the redneck version of the life coach character that Chris Farley played on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, good.
Like, I sat through like 6 hours of this guy talking, and he talks like this, and he goes, let me tell you something, like in the middle of his sentences. So like he'll be talking about aliens, and then he's like, and let me tell you something, gun control is for queers. And you're like, whoa! Like, chill out, Phil Schneider. Like, where's this coming from? He's like, and anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is a traitor and should be dealt with as traitors are dealt with.
Now back to the aliens.
And then he goes back to the aliens again, and you're like, Jesus. Like, this guy needs to take a step back.
I don't think he understands what subtext is.
And
someone went, yeah, just like kind of throw it in there, like sly, subtly. Got it. I get you.
Obama is a Muslim terrorist.
So Snyder.
Now back to the aliens.
Snyder is like, so the government made this like treaty with aliens in 1954 under the Eisenhower administration, and he's like, the government decided to circumvent the Constitution and form a treaty with extraterrestrials, and the treaty was called the 1954 Greada Treaty.
So you're saying in 1954 the Constitution lost its foreskin? You said they circumcised it?
Yeah,
they circumnavigated it.
Yeah, circumnavigated it.
Wow.
They went like
they took it all the way around the globe.
All the way around the foreskin.
They took it from one side of the flat Earth to the other side.
To the penis side.
It was like they flipped a coin.
And basically what ended up happening...
They folded it in space-time.
And basically what ends up happening, because you can't trust an alien, is they're like, we have altered the deal. Pray we don't alter it any further. Because, like, the government finds out that they've actually been abducting a lot more people than the agreement said they could, and were like doing like all kinds of experiments that they weren't supposed to be doing, because we had only agreed supposedly to them abducting and implanting people, but they're like taking people's semen and eggs and like probing people and all kinds of stuff like that.
Having barbecues.
And people disappearing.
Come get your human wings. What?
And
chicken of the earth.
Chicken of the earth. I think that's chickens.
And basically the aliens just decided to quit checking back in with the government, like quit reporting back to the government about what they were doing. And so in 1979, Schneider is employed by the Morrison Knudsen Inc. company. Morrison Knudsen Inc. And he was working on building an addition to the underground military base at Dulce. And he says that, like, at that time they had drilled 4 holes in the desert that were supposed to be linked together with tunnels. And his job was to go down the holes, check the rock samples, and then be like, you guys need C4, or you guys need dynamite, or like whatever kind of explosive they might need to break whatever kind of rock was down there.
I thought C4 was dynamite.
I don't think so. So he's like, yo, y'all need this to blow this shit up, and they're like, okay. So like that was his whole job supposedly with
you
them.
all need a nuke.
Yeah. Well, supposedly they were using that sometimes to build these things, right? Like so he
and you get radiation poisoning.
So they like drilled down there.
I swallowed a nuke.
And apparently, in the process, they had accidentally opened a large artificial cavern, which was a secret base for the gray aliens. And like he starts like freaking out. Like he's like, oh shit. And so he like goes for his pistol.
They're all just having a card game.
Like Schneider goes for his pistol.
Well, now let me tell you something. Anybody who thinks having a pistol on you all the time is a bad idea. Is a queer. Okay, now back to the gray alien.
Back to the
base.
aliens. So this guy like quick draws his pistol because he's a geologist. So of course he needs a pistol on him at all times.
I mean, some of those rocks just jump right out at
It
you.
does. And he like
Fossils and all.
fucking no scopes like 2 aliens like back to back. So he kills 2 of them, and then a third one shot an energy beam out of its chest, which hit him, which blew off 2 of his fingers and like damaged his chest.
And then what happened?
And then what happens is like a Marine who was also down there with him is like, get back! You're too goddamn important. We have to save you, Phil Schneider. And like grabs him and like shoves him in the elevator that they used to get down there. And he's like, tell my wife I love him and that you are a much doper man than me and you deserve to live, Phil Schneider, because you are so awesome.
And also, you're very handsome.
And also that I wish I was even half as sexy as you, Phil Schneider. And then pushes the button and like sends him up.
And then he explodes.
And supposedly,
like right as the door closes.
And supposedly,
Schneider's like, no.
Schneider is like, wah, like no, like fucking fingers.
They only
missing.
blew off two of his fingers because he only killed 2 aliens. If he killed 10 aliens, he wouldn't have any. He wouldn't have had any.
Pray to
fingers.
God he doesn't blow off, doesn't kill 21 aliens.
He just, like, he just blows up their home planet. And he's like, ooh,
ooh, shit.
Oh damn!
It's like that scene from Stargate where they send the nuke through.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done. Didn't even think of that. So apparently, what ends up happening is 60 Green Berets and Black Berets end up dying in that like war down there that they called like the Battle of Dulce Base.
Yeah, I believe it.
And like Phil Schneider barely made it out, man. He was so lucky.
Killed like 30 of them.
Thanks to that unnamed Marine that I forgot the name of, who saved my life from being so dope.
It's Corporal Plucky.
It was Black Beret Fernando.
In fact, like Phil Schneider decides to come forward with his experiences working for a government black ops program as a geologist for some reason, because his friend Ron Rummel, who was an ex-Air Force intelligence officer, supposedly, even though there's no record of him ever being in the Air Force, but he said he was, and he was the publisher of Alien Digest, ended up shooting himself in the mouth with a pistol, and Schneider is like, nah, he was murdered. Like, Schneider's like, no, my friend was assassinated by these people, so now I'm gonna talk. So he, like, starts hitting the alien circuit, telling his story about all this. And so, once he decides to come forward and talk, there were, like, 11 different assassination attempts on him. He said all the time. He's like, I've had 11 different attacks on my life that I have managed to survive. One of which he was shot in the shoulder while he was like out having lunch with a friend of his who was a former FBI agent. And the FBI, and like he ends up getting in a shootout with this guy, and kills him.
He's like, you should have aimed for the head.
Yeah, you should have aimed for the head, and like kills him, and supposedly no repercussions for that because the guy was like a secret government agent. So they're like, oh no, like we didn't know that assassin who went to kill you. So like, but when it's going down, the FBI dude who's with him is like, he's like, damn Phil, I've never met anyone braver than you. That's what he says.
I believe it.
That's what Phil says. He also says that these aliens and the government are working together to create a technocratic feudalism.
Sweet.
Which is basically they're like using technology to make other people subservient, like subservient worker class, instead of like being free-thinking Americans like they should be.
Getting us all addicted to Facebook.
Signing us up for MySpace. But this dude literally looks like a fucking shop teacher. Like that's what he looked like when I'm watching him on his things. He says that the reason he was picked for his geology job is because he was strong mentally, like stronger mentally than any of the other candidates who were up for the.
How do you gauge mental strength?
Black Ops geology position. So.
How do they like quantify that?
You have to like. They just line up a bunch of Rubik's cubes in front of you, and then also put on Frasier, and like however many times you laugh at Frasier is how smart you actually are. And that's how they determine
He got
it.
every joke.
It's called the Niles quotient.
He just didn't stop laughing. He was getting jokes that we don't even have.
He was just like laughing ominously.
How quaint!
Oh, Niles!
Oh, you slay me!
What a quaint test.
That dog is such a scallywag.
I have no taint.
He's a werewolf! Get him! This is all shooting full of like silver bullets.
It's just like deflecting.
He just like turns and looks at them, and the bullets stop. Like stop in midair, and then go back at them.
He's so strong mentally. Run!
Run! Man, we need to make him our geologist.
That's who mentally lives.
So he ends up being their geologist because of how smart he is. Oh, sorry. Because of how strong he is mentally. So he says that according to Phil Schneider, the large greys have been building underground bases for 400 to 500 years, and they stink of garbage. He says
the bases are just made out of Domino's pizza boxes.
And like, what cracked me up the most was he's like, yeah, these I like turn because I smelled something first, and like I turn and I look, and there's these 7-foot aliens coming at me, and so like I quick draw my pistol and I kill 2 of them, and then he's like, yes, they are mortal. And they do die. It's like what he says when he's like giving his speech
If
at
it
the like
bleeds,
symposium.
I can kill it.
I'm like, Jesus. So, and then he gets hit with the alien beam weapon that like takes off his fingers, and also the alien beam weapon burnt his toenails off and his shoe off like a lightning bolt.
Has he been hit by a lightning bolt previously that only burnt off his shoes, so he knew the analogy of being hit by a lightning
He
bolt?
must have, because that's exactly how he described it.
It happens a lot in geology.
Mm-hmm. I figure you disturb the rocks, and like the rock god shoots lightning at you. Just makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, we're currently at war since 1979 with these aliens.
Huh.
We've been at war with them.
Must be going okay.
Because of that. Yeah, I mean, we're holding our own better than I would think we would against, like, a species that could travel across the galaxy.
I was going to say, are we like the North Korea of this war? Like, are we the ones who just... We're all sitting there thinking we're alright, we're doing pretty good, but really... We're just under some government blanket.
I like to think of us as the Ewoks of this war.
Can we just be Switzerland? Like, can we just hug this one out?
That's the Nordic aliens, which I'll get to once I get to the different aliens that are in this base. They're the Switzerland. So, according to him, there's 11 different species of aliens that work in this base. 2 are dope species.
He's running as they're shooting energy beams at him. He's just like counting them 1, 2, 3.
Wow, there's all these different aliens. Hold on, stop shooting.
He's just sketching them quickly.
He has
that one.
He has a photographic memory, but only when he wants to actually take pictures. So he has to physically go with it, makes the sign with his hand, and he goes.
But he couldn't make the sign because he was missing
his fingers.
He's like, oh no. Okay, I can only
what
take...
fresh hell is this?
Well, I can take a mental picture, but it's going to be blurry. I can't focus. Well, these kind of look different.
My
I'm
toenails
gonna
hurt.
go with 11.
My toenails hurt so much it's blurred.
What if there's only 10 different
I can't
species?
feel my toenails.
What if like there's only 10 different species of alien, and he just he just
made one up.
He mistook one.
He's racist,
and he's racist against that particular kind of alien. He went, wow, those are 2 different kinds of aliens, and they went, what the fuck's your problem? Just because I'm light skinned
that's
gray.
the male, that's the female.
Just because
There's actually like 38 different races.
Just because I'm a light skinned male alien. I mean, come on now.
Come on, bro. There's apparently 11 different species, 2 of which I have labeled as dope, and 9 of which are non-dope species.
What do they call each other? Like, you hold up my ET?
So there's there's like grays, there's Zeta Reticulans, there's large grays, there's Dracos, there's reptilians, and then there's like these mantis ones.
What up, my lizard?
There's like these little ones that have like big heads. Some of them are like automated workers, basically, for the other ones. Yeah, they're basically like droid species.
Is that its own species, though? If it's a droid, wouldn't it just be made?
Wasn't it its own species in Galaxies?
I think so.
Yeah, it's either Galaxies or the pen and paper game where you have to pick a species. I think you could pick droid for a species.
What up, my droid?
What up, my droid?
Yeah, I don't believe that.
I'd be a gonk droid.
I don't see how
fucking dope.
I don't see how an alien made object is its own species.
It's an artificial species.
Yeah. Wouldn't that just be like...
Well, that's what he calls them, is like synthetic species or artificial species or something. Is like the
because it being like it's legitimate own species, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're controlled by the
Do they
ones.
reproduce?
So they do, and I actually will get to that as we get further into, because I have diagrams. So
of how they mate.
So
you drew a lot in this like 30-second span of being shot at by some fucking aliens.
By these fucking aliens. So the non-dope species, he says, view humanity as bags of food.
Nice.
He says that they like feed off of like not us like physically, but instead what they do is they feed off of like adrenaline and like chemical excretions, and they mix that up with their vitamins, and then that's their food.
So kind of like a PG-13 version of Monsters Inc.
Oh shit! You right?
Okay, let's go into this kid's house and scare the shit out of him and make his adrenaline pump. And then like his younger brother's like, I ain't scared.
They like stick a straw in his neck. Oh, that's good adrenaline. He also says that he met an alien that worked for the government named Valiant Thor. Which I will do an entire episode dedicated to Valiant Thor at some point.
That's a pretty dope band.
Because he's actually mentioned by a lot of different ufologists and whistleblowers and people like that. They're like, oh, Valiant Thor? Yeah, he's my boy.
Yeah.
Like,
he's pent up in that Pentagon.
So Valiant Thor, he started working in either like 1937 or 1938 for the U.S. government, apparently under duress. And according to Schneider, Valiant Thor says he has a 490-year lifespan.
Is he now? Is that Valiant Thor?
Is that the band Valiant Thor?
Yeah, it's Valiant Thor.
So, hell yeah.
So he started working under duress, but does he get to wear pants now?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Is he working under a dress?
They thought he was a woman, so
that's
they made
what
him wear a
Trump's in
dress.
trouble for, is working under a dress.
That is true.
It's fine. So, he has 490-year lifespan. He has 6 fingers and 6 toes, 1 oversized heart, and 1 oversized lung. His blood vessels are larger than normal people. And he has copper oxide for blood, like a squid or an octopus.
Wait, hold on. Is it oversized in comparison to ours?
Yeah. In comparison to the size of his body, compared to the size of ours, compared to the size of our bodies.
Okay.
So it's like big.
He has very prominent blood vessels.
You can see them.
Like, you ever seen Macho Man Randy Savage's neck? It's just that, but like his whole body. Like, that's what.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah! Valiant Thor!
When you said he has like an oversized heart, I'm like, aw.
Like the Grinch.
Where's his heart on his sleeve?
Yeah. But then you said oversized lung, and I'm like, man.
He's just sitting in the Pentagon playing fucking like Goo Goo Dolls songs on acoustic guitar. Like, that's what he spends his days doing. So he has an oversized heart, one oversized heart, and 1 oversized lung. So like, he doesn't have 2 lungs. He has 1 lung, but it's really big. So he has copper oxide for blood.
That's
like a squid.
That's not a good thing. You want to have that redundancy.
I know.
Yeah, what if he gets punctured? He's fucked.
He's fucked. He has copper oxide for blood, like a squid or an octopus. His brain capacity is 300 centimeters larger than ours.
Does he have like 1 big testicle?
How many?
His dick and his testicle are one and the same. They're just like the same thing.
It also holds all of his pee, much like the human genitalia.
It's just like every like horrific hentai movie ever. It's just like drops trowel and it's like this 9-foot tentacle.
I mean, like, he's got fucking copper oxide for blood. Might as well be.
He's just one big jumbled organ.
It's like he has a if you could measure it, is what Schneider said. He has a 1200 IQ.
Wait. He measured it.
So, if you tested him, he would have a 1200 IQ. So, there's that.
But why if? Did he?
He speaks 100 languages fluently. including alien and human languages. He also doesn't shake hands because he's worried about infecting people.
He just very effeminately like wrist bumps you.
Bump
it. Fist me. I'm not gonna do that. He like pees on your shoes. Like, that's how he says hi. It's like, he kept getting punched in the face, and he thought that's how we say hi.
He has this alien technology that
those were Jordans.
we think he has gray skin, but in reality, it's just a giant alien-shaped condom that he wears, so he doesn't get infected.
Pretty much. According to Schneider,
you would look at him and think it's all skin. Foreskin.
He just shakes, and suddenly he has like the Slim Jim guy hair. He's bright pink.
You gotta shake his
like
hand and his
dick.
head just slowly becomes revealed.
He just looks like a dog dick.
Red Rocket.
Just like, he is really slimy and red. I am not okay with this.
What's the name for dog dick in your language?
Well, actually,
that sounds right.
He's like, well, we didn't have a name for it until the internet, so
now it's Valiant
just,
Sword.
It's dog dick.
It's Valiant Dick.
So, he also, according to Schneider, the reason he won't shake hands is because he's like scared of spreading bacteria. Because according to Schneider, AIDS, the hantavirus, and Ebola are all from aliens. So that's like our bad.
AIDS came from the experimental days when they were like, human males look pretty good. Let's give it to a whole bunch of gay dudes.
That was just like some farmer who gets his hammered drunk.
Yeah. So some of the major things that he says is that the government should be overthrown for treason because of their working with these aliens. Because he says that they're putting their own needs for technology ahead of the needs of the American people.
We get them new smartphones, man.
And that
I'm okay with it. What if the president has some super secret smartphone? Like
he's got the iPhone 12.
It's like a forehead implant that we can't detect. That it's just like a heads-up display all the time in front of them, and they're just like, "Hey, what up?" And it just like sends it like through their forehead. We can't see it though. It's like a projection.
He like at one point, no fucking joke, during his rant. Like I told you, he'd go, "Let me tell you something." He started ranting about Janet Reno and how she was a lesbian and like she's gonna try to like steal our weapons and she murdered those people at Waco and like
I don't even know who that is
and all this shit. And I'm like, this like it was enough that in my notes I literally just wrote really hates Janet Reno because he went off for like 5 minutes about Janet Reno. I was like, damn, dude.
That lady looks weird. Maybe he just hates her because he doesn't like the way she looks.
The best thing was when Will Ferrell would play her on Saturday Night Live. Like,
Kool-Aid Man.
Hulk busting through the wall. So, I'm Janet Reno! Welcome to Fight Night with Janet Reno! He's like boxing people. So funny.
Wow, he looks just like her.
Yeah, he nailed it. It was so amazing.
Yeah, and then there was one episode where she actually came on.
Yeah,
and
she like kicked his ass. Yeah. It was really funny.
Imposter.
So according to Schneider, the alien agenda is the killing of 5/6 to 7/8 of the world population by the year 2029. And then using us as like food.
Yeah, they're gonna have to speed that shit up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the global warming's coming from. They're just they're slow cooking us.
Rotisserie people.
They're rotisserie
style humans.
They have
starts raining barbecue sauce on us.
We're like, is that Lowry's seasoning salt? What is going on? The aliens
acid
breaking out bibs and like fucking utensils.
The fucking acid rain is just a brine.
The sea's starting to boil. That's in there. They're gonna fry us.
We're getting fucking steamed over here and fried over there. That underground base is really just a giant magnet to pull us closer to the.
We gotta eat each other. It's the only way.
It's just slowly.
I don't know. I think we should give it a few minutes. We might not actually have to eat each other.
No, it's fine.
No, you eat me first.
The underground.
Start at my dick. It's not weird. It's for survival.
The underground magnet base is just slowly pulling us closer to the sun on a timer. They're just slowly increasing its strength to pull us closer and closer till we get nice and crispy. But we keep all our juices.
Shh. No, it's cool. No, it's fine. Stop crying.
Sunscreen is just a government secret. It's actually a dry rub that we're slowly putting on our skin.
It's to rub coconut oil into ourselves so we crisp better.
Exactly. Dude, this is blown wide open. I think we figured out what's happening to us.
We have solved the entire alien agenda.
We have figured out global warming.
It's all thanks to Phil Schneider, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
He's dead?
So here's the thing. So Phil Schneider... Plot twist.
He finally did get assassinated.
I was laughing at all the shit he's talking about, because I listen to pretty much anybody, but when you're watching this guy talk live, not to be a dick about it, he is clearly full of shit. Like in the way where his mannerisms and his speech patterns are exactly the same as a certain Cheeto in chief that has the same exact thought process when he's speaking. So he'll be like, there's 11 different species of aliens. There's short ones, there's gray ones, there's reptilians, and let me tell you something. All of them hate gun rights, and they're coming to take your guns. And starts talking about guns for 5 minutes, and he's like, "Oh right, the aliens." And he's like, I have this rock that's a special element that's grown by the gray aliens. And people are like, "Oh, cool, can we touch it?" No, you can't touch it.
Can we test it?
No, you don't need to do that.
It's polonium.
He's like, yeah, it's polonium. It's like, I literally wrote all kinds of information about this stupid made-up element. It's called carbamide, and it's the heaviest element. It's the heaviest element. It has an atomic weight of 140.
It's an atomic weight of wicked heavy.
The atomic weight of a tailgate special from Bojangles.
This is a really strange coincidence.
He's like, it's element 140 and it weighs 3.5 times what uranium weighs. And it doesn't emit gamma rays, and it is completely stable.
For some reason, it's an anagram for chicken grease salt.
3 essential food groups. So Phil Schneider, he was riddled wicked with cancer. He had a lot of fucking cancer, and he said that the reason
he had 11 different types of cancer.
Yeah. No joke, it's 3.
He had 11 different herbs and spices.
That's how they know we're ready.
Sprinkling him with cancers.
Gingivitis. He had paprika. White pepper.
He had gastrointestinal basil and rosemary stuffed in with some lemon pepper.
It's he farts and it smells like lemon. And you're like, man,
I should go see a doctor about that.
What's
The doctor's
going on
like,
with you, Phil?
the doctor's just like, Yeah, you almost ready.
It's like a lizard in a trench coat.
Here, apply
It's
this.
like-
Apply this ointment and come back in a week.
Just like it's that Parquet squeezable butter. Just
Lather yourself up with this 3 times a day.
This stuff smells amazing.
You're so important, Phil. You're the best of all of us. So he gets he's riddled with super cancer. He says that the reason he has it is from when the alien zapped him with the beam.
With
He's
his chest cannon beam.
Yeah, he's like, that gave me hyper cancer, trademark hyper cancer.
That alien was like the kernel of aliens.
If that's what gave him cancer, and he knew that's what gave him cancer, why wouldn't he gone to the doctor? I don't know. 30 years ago, when it shot him in the chest and he lost 2 fingers. Did he not go see a doctor when he lost 2 fingers? Damn. Oh well. Gone forever.
Don't need those fingers.
Which 2 fingers? Yeah. Which 2? Well,
and
oh no, they're just falling off.
And so he gets super cancer, and eventually he's found dead in his house. He had taken his catheter tube, tied it around his neck 3 times, and then tied it in a bow, and hung himself that way.
It's pretty metal.
And they're doctors were it's suicide, but his ex-wife was nah, he was murdered. And that kind of that had me that's a weird way to kill yourself, especially if you're riddled with super cancer. How are you gonna do that? But here's the thing with Phil Schneider. I think he is completely full of shit enough to commit suicide in a way that is suspicious to give his bullshit story more credence. Because I found a report from a roommate of Phil Schneider, an ex-roommate of Phil Schneider.
Dude's
weird.
weird.
If I can get it up here.
Period.
So his ex-roommate says, pull this
Why
up.
is this 4 pages of just this guy was weird?
so weird.
His ex-roommate is
Dude was
this morning,
paranoid as
in the
fuck."
state of boredom, I decided to look up and see if I can find anything about people I used to know on Google. In my surprise, imagine my surprise to find that there was a cult of Phil Schneider, who I knew very well in 1977 through 1980. I moved to Portland, Oregon in 1977, so 2 years before Phil Schneider is setting off intergalactic war. Unemployed and very short on funds. I moved into a very cheap rooming house. Shortly after I moved in, Phil Schneider moved in. It didn't take me very long at all to realize he was a liar, and I thought he was mentally ill. As for his...
That can't be.
First off, his missing fingers. He told me that he had lost them when he was working in Eastern Oregon as a lineman when he had some sort of mishap on a pole. Frankly, I no longer recall the details. It's been nearly 40 years. He says his chest wound, I took him to the hospital for that.
Huh.
He says,
I shot the energy laser out of my chest.
yeah, it's like a lizard angrily typing on a typewriter.
Backspace that. How do I redact?
Accidentally takes a picture of his lizard face, on the.
He's
oh, shit.
he's trying to unlock his computer and he takes a picture of his face through the camera as a security measure. Delete. Delete this.
So
Swipe.
he's like, I took him to the hospital. One day I was talking to other roommates in the common room. Phil came down the stairs with blood on his shirt, saying he'd been shot. A story he quickly changed to somehow being inflicted by a passing car, losing a snow stud, which struck him in the chest, causing the wounds. No one present believed him, of course, but it was certainly not the time for discussions of his credibility. I took him to the hospital. After a short time, one of the ER doctors came up to me and asked if I had any influence with Phil. I said, not really. The doctor said they would like to keep him for psych evaluation, but had no grounds to do so. I was asked to try to convince Phil to voluntarily submit. At this point, and having my own suspicions, I said to the doctor, you suspect it's self-inflicted? The doctor said yes. I did talk to Phil a little bit of course, but he refused. I wish I could remember which hospital in Portland it was. Unfortunately, I just don't, but there should be records. This happened in late 77, more likely 78. There's more I could talk about, but none of it would be particularly germane.
Who's Jermaine?
He's one of the Funky Bunch, right?
Probably.
Shot in the dark. By the time I parted company
Just
with Phil
like
entirely,
Phil.
probably sometime in 1980, I was of the very solid opinion that Phil was disturbed and probably a danger to himself, but not others. I should note here that I'm completely unqualified in any clinical sense to say these things. But, I mean, I've definitely had a roommate that I thought was a danger to himself, if not others. So, I understand that completely. So, yeah, that's Phil Schneider. Like, I think he probably, like, killed himself.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much of a question to
I
that.
think Valiant Forge did it.
Damn you, Valiant Forge!
With his 1200 IQ. He could easily plan a suspicious suicide/murder and not get caught because he's constantly wearing gloves.
And with that giant testicle, he
Yeah.
could have strangled him to death, no problem.
Not to mention, no one would know what his DNA would look like, so they can't DNA
Question
test
marks.
him.
They'd be like,
it's instead of like the whatever it is, 37 different, like whatever the fuck it's called.
Double
It's like 42,000.
It's just like, oh shit.
All biceps.
But it's just one. His DNA in his body is just
and
one
hammers.
giant long DNA.
They're like
all bunched up like a snake game.
They're like, is this guy made out of copper oxide?
Like a squid or an octopus?
I think he was strangled to death by a giant squid. But there's no seawater in here, so who knows? Maybe he's just fucking with some weird batteries.
There was some Lowry seasoning salt.
And parquet all over his bed sheets.
Now, another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down, we wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien grays had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. Had been one of their internal bases. And we drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up, and well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really. All started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build an underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person was or the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time to reach for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the Folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This was in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in a almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me. Completely crispy crittered my left foot, burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember is the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me that risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. It's been going on since that time. Since late August of 1979, our military, the Russian military, basically the militaries of the world, have been in constant conflict with the outer space alien. The small gray, the large gray, the reptilians, the whole thing. There are 11 distinct races of aliens. 2 are benevolent. 1 had to leave here in a hurry because their world is under attack, both on the surface as well as underground. There, the Pleiadians. They're familiar. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. Would some of you raise your hands who've heard of Billy Meyer and some of the, very good, about half the group. Well, Billy Meyer is one of these lucky people that they figured, well, he's kind of a simple type, we'll show him everything. Well, these are the benevolent aliens, and they've been here helping us. In fact, I have a picture, let me reach for it here. I have a picture of one of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Val Valiant Thor. He's right here. There's my father in the background.
When exactly was the upper human-occupied level of the Arculita installation constructed? I heard Dulles was started in 1937 to 38 by the Army engineers, enlarged over the years. Most recent work was completed in 1965 to 66 to connect tunnels to the Arizona base, site of one of the older underground facilities. The Four Corners base is called Paraca. Most of the Native American Indians living in that area are aware of that base, and could tell us about the underground life forms that frequently are spotted near those communities, Bigfoot, etc. By what means was the upper installations constructed? Are you familiar with the alleged developments made by the Rand Corporation of a highly efficient bore-wormhole machine capable of melting rock, using nuclear-powered Wolfram graphite-tipped drill cones? According to several senior maintenance workers, part of it was blasted by nuclear devices in the 60s. There are sections, like the shuttle tunnels, that were formed by an advanced tunneling machine that leaves the tunnel walls smooth. The finished walls in those tubes resemble polished black glass. By whom was the Dulce installation originally constructed? Nature started the caverns. The Draco-reptilian humanoids used the caverns and tunnels for centuries. Later, through Rand Corporation plans, it was enlarged repeatedly. The original caverns included ice caves and sulfur springs that the aliens found perfect for their needs. The Dulce caverns rival Carlsbad caverns in size. What exactly are the cat and the human organs such as blood, anal tissue, eyes, reproductive organs, tongues, etc. used for? That is, the organs obtained via cat and human mutilations. Read the so-called Dulce papers for more information. Are the various electromagnetically controlled air or spacecraft that had been seen leaving from and arriving at Mount Archuleta manned by humans, the alien entities, or both? Archuleta Mesa is a minor area. The crafts leave and are stored in 5 areas. One is southeast of Dulce, one near Durango, Colorado, one at Taos, New Mexico, and the main fleet is stored at Los Alamos. Others have suggested that some of the entities below Dulce are not of extraterrestrial origin, and that they are actually descended from saurian or reptiloid beings such as the Velociraptors or Stenonychosaurus equus, a serpent race or races similar to that hinted at in the 3rd chapter of the book of Genesis. Yes, some reptoids are native to this planet. The ruling caste of aliens are reptilian. The beige or white beings are called the Draco. Other reptilian beings are green, and some are brown. They were an ancient race on Earth, living underground. It may have been one of the draconian beings that tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden. Reptoids rightly consider themselves native to Rums. Perhaps they are the ones we call the fallen angels. Maybe not. Either way, we are considered the squatters on Earth. Some have suggested that the so-called underground extraterrestrial bases and tunnels may, for a large part, be literally thousands of years old, constructions of an antediluvian race which attained to a considerable level of scientific complexity, and who were destroyed by a divinely initiated cataclysm which took place after they attempted to merge their science with occult supernatural forces. For instance, some have suggested that the Bermuda Triangle phenomena may be the result of an out-of-control Atlantean experiment that led to a space-time disaster which produced electromagnetic fallout in the Triangle area and elsewhere after they had accidentally loosed powerful forces and energies into the world that they knew very little about. Do your observations tend to confirm or refute such a possibility? I'm not sure about the divine part, but these aliens consider themselves native to Rums. Where do the little great aliens fit in? They work for, and are controlled by the Draco. There are other grayscale beings that are not in league with the Draco. Did you ever talk to any of the aliens at the base? Since I was the senior security technician at that base, I had to communicate with them on a daily basis. If there were any problems that involved security or video cameras, I was the one they called. It was the reptilian, working caste, that usually did the physical labor in the lower levels at Dulce. Decisions involving that caste were usually made by the white Draco. When human workers caused problems for the working caste, the reptoids went to the white Draconian boss, and the Draco called me. At times, it felt like it was a never-ending problem. Several human workers resented the no-nonsense, or get-back-to-work attitude the working caste lives by. When needed, intervention became a vital tool. The biggest problem were human workers who foolishly wandered around near the off-limits areas of the alien section. I guess it's human nature to be curious and to wonder what is past the barriers. Too often someone found a way to bypass the barriers and nosed around. The cameras near the entrance usually stopped them before they got themselves in serious trouble. A few times I had to formally request the return of a human worker. Are there other sites tied into the shuttle network other than those which you mentioned, and if so, where are the entrances? Where? Everywhere. They crisscross the world as an endless subterranean highway. Like a freeway, except this one is underground. The subterranean highway in America is like a freeway except it's underground. That highway depends on electric motors for trucks, cars and buses for the paved roads, and it is for limited travel. There is another style of transit for freight and for passengers that is for rapid travel. That worldwide network is called the subglobal system. It has checkpoints at each country entry. There are shuttle tubes that shoot the trains at incredible speeds using a maglev and vacuum method. They travel at a speed that excels the speed of sound. Part of your question involves the location of entrances to that base. The easiest way to answer is to say every state in the USA has them. Frequently, the entrances are camouflaged as sand quarries or mining operations. Other complex portals are found on military bases. New Mexico and Arizona have the largest amounts of entrances, followed by California, Montana, Idaho, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Kansas, Arkansas and Missouri. Of all the states, Florida and North Dakota have the least amount of entrances. Wyoming has a road that opens directly into the subterranean freeway. That road is no longer in use, but could be reactivated if they decide to do so, with minimal cost. It's located near Brooks Lake. Are there any bases in the state of Utah? Have you heard anything about an alleged underground installation within the Wasatch Mountains? Salt Lake, Lake Powell area, Dark Canyon, Dugway Grounds, Magna, Vernal. All have exits there. Others too. Does the Mount Archuleta shuttle system connect with a shuttle system which allegedly radiates from Mount Shasta in Northern California? Yes, Mount Shasta is a major site of alien elder race, reptilian race human meetings. Beginning Cleveland, Grover, every president in U.S. history had visited Delos City. Truman was supposed to have visited the lower realms as a high archon on Earth. He was supposed to have met the king of the world there, and gave him the keys to the USA. Did you notice any involvement of high-level Freemasons, Rosicrucians or Jesuits within the underground installation and or with the aliens? Yes, I did, but that is a loaded question, and I won't comment further. I'm not a Mason, or member of any other secret fraternal group. There is one organization I am a member of in the USA. That group is commonly called the Central Unit. It is a pleasure to tell you that I am a member of the Subgalactic League of Costa Rica.
Okay, so Phil Schneider, 98% full of shit. But there's actually
no way.
There's actually another guy who there's been a few people who come out and talk about Dulce Base. It's not just Phil Schneider.
I was gonna say he's dropping facts. I don't know.
So this guy, who seems quite a bit more credible to me, is named Thomas Edwin Castello.
Is that racist against, like, because the fact that he had 3 names?
Yes.
And Schneider is associated with shitty movies?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This guy I associate with Elvis Costello, who's a lot better than Rob Schneider.
Debatable.
So,
change my mind.
I'm on his side now. So this guy was interviewed about the time that he worked in the Dulce base, and I have like a whole like question and answer session here with him. For instance, this says, others have suggested that some of the entities below Dulce are not of extraterrestrial origin, and that they're actually descended from saurian or reptiloid beings, such as the velociraptors or Stenonchosaurus equus. A serpentine race or races similar to that.
Man, these reptilioids are fucking weird.
That does not
Not yet. That's why they're causing global warming. So they're either descended from velociraptors or Stenonchosaurus equus.
I thought you were going to say stenographer source.
A serpentine. It just has a typewriter built into its chest. A serpentine race or races similar to that hinted at in the 3rd chapter of the book of Genesis.
See, I don't think it's those because all you'd have to do is play a really dope flute and they would just be, oh shit, this guy's playing my jam, and start dancing,
Just put on some Jethro Tull. So, this guy's answer is yes, some reptoids are native to this planet. The ruling caste of aliens are reptilian. The beige or white beings are called the Draco. Other reptilian beings are green, and some are brown. And they were an ancient race on Earth living underground. It may have been one of the draconian beings that tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden. Reptoids rightly consider themselves native Terrans. Perhaps they're the ones we call the fallen angels. Maybe not. Either way, we're considered the squatters on Earth.
So then where did we come from?
He says, I'm not sure about the divine part, but these aliens consider themselves native Terrans. They're like, where do the little gray aliens fit in? And he's like, they work for and are controlled by the Draco. There are other gray-skinned beings that are not in league with the Draco.
They're an inferior race, so we control them.
They are Gryffindor.
He also talks about how the aliens were first discovered in like the 1900s, like early 1900s, like 1918, where the U.S. cavalry had chased like some like outlaws into a like
UFO.
cave, into like a cave system, and they ended up finding alien craft in there, supposedly, and that's how long the government has known about aliens since like 1908.
And when did shit? What was that TV show? Jeffersons? No, that's not it. Jetsons. When did the Jetsons come out?
The Jetsons came out in. So they say, what are the Greys susceptible to? He says the Greys are photosensitive. Any bright light hurts their eyes. They avoid sunlight and travel at night. Camera flashes cause them to back up. It could be used as a weapon against them, but they recover quickly. It could buy enough time to escape. Use commands or nonsensical words in the form of commands and they'll back up. Their brain is more logical than ours, and they do not create fun.
Just take out a flashlight.
He says,
start flashing
They're all
light
just
at
like
him.
running away.
He says, but then there's like little things like this that I really like that he goes into. Like he's like, they don't understand poetry either. What really confuses them is saying things in Pig Latin. So like if you speak in Pig Latin, they're like, what? What the fuck is going on?
Ixnay on the abduction lane.
That thing you figured out when you're like 5 years old, they're like, fucking what? What is that supposed to be? He says, we learned that in a hurry and used it against them. So they're like, literally, like the people who were trying to escape Dulce Base talked to each other in Pig Latin because they were like, because they knew the aliens wouldn't understand it. Like,
the aliens just have like, they're just like drawing the sounds on like a chalkboard. Like, what?
So he says that the reason he decided to quit was because he went to one level of the Dulce Base. He says that he had clearance for the first 8 levels of the Dulce Base, but he suspected there were more levels even below that. And that on the 7th level, he saw a bunch of people in cages who were like all drugged up and like kept in cages and stuff. Some of which were like begging him for help and like, let us out, please, you have to help us. And he says that that the aliens and like the humans that worked there were like, don't worry about them. Like they're all like crazy, and we're trying to figure out how to make them not crazy anymore. Like how to cure like the like biggest of the big mental like breaks. That like these are all people that had complete breaks with reality and they were trying to fix them. So he's like, sure, I believe you, alien overlords, and like he decided to leave after that. And so he and some other people came up with a plan to get pictures and video and some files out of the base when they went to flee. So they're like communicating to each other in Pig Latin and coming up with this plan for how they're supposed to get out of there and like disappear basically, so the government can't kill them for what they know. So he ends up escaping, and like these interviews and stuff are part of him giving those records to people. And what ends up happening is when he gets out, the government like takes his like wife and kid, and they're like you need to turn yourself in, and then we'll let your wife and kid go. And he was like, nah, they already like experimented on them or killed them or something. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So he disappeared instead.
What if that was just his crazy way to get out of having to take care of his kids?
Yeah, dodging child support.
Oh shit!
He'd eaten a big bowl of chili.
He got taken by aliens. Oh shit, maybe he's Alex Jones now.
Oh shit.
Speaking of which, did you see Kanye was going to be on Alex Jones?
Oh, amazing.
I was like, that is hilarious. I was saying that the other day when Kanye was talking about how he likes Trump now. It's like, he's going to be on Alex Jones.
Yep,
just watch.
that's the next logical step.
But what's cool about this guy is he goes into all kinds of detail about his time working there. If you can find like a copy of his transcripts and stuff, he talks about how like one floor was called the Nightmare Room, and it was used for like MK Ultra and stuff like that, and also like examining dreams and like states of consciousness is like the kinds of research they did on that floor. And he talked about seeing like them trying to genetically engineer people or like animals on like other floors, like fucking like coyote with like 6 butts or something. Like they're like trying to make that stuff, trying to make that stuff in this place.
He's an ass man.
And I have here also a, there it is. It's a list of the different aliens that are there. So I have the servants from Rigelian, and these are described as proto-synthezoids and have a low level of intelligence and therefore just follow orders. They're plus or minus 3 feet tall, have no mouth, ears, or nose, and they look like that. Kind of look like those lobster men from that sighting we were talking about a couple weeks ago.
They look like mummy owls.
Yeah, like mummy owl lobsters. So they look like. The next one are the Tahe. They are a mutative clone form of the Grey, whose specific job is to complete research.
And get really stoned.
They're about 3 feet tall, with no mouth, ears, or nose. And yeah, they look baked.
Like
With,
super baked.
Super baked.
No mouth, ear, or nose.
Yep.
How do they get baked? They just inject the weed straight into their eye?
Yeah, don't you?
They inject very much
hardcore.
And then there's the spoof. And the spoof.
He was just sneezing and went, well, I guess that's an alien.
They are a cloned synthezoid form whose specific job are to act as controllers.
They look like elderly hairless chimpanzees.
I'm going to let Ryan describe them from now on. They're 4 feet tall and look like elderly hairless chimpanzees. They totally do. There's the replicas.
They're skinny versions of the thing.
They are a proto-synthezoid cloned from humans whose specific job is a special outside agent. So, like, they can change their bodies and, like, shapeshift and stuff. And their whole job is to, like, do stuff outside of the base to advance things for them.
It's clobbering time.
Then there's the servants from Zeta Reticuli. They are a cloned form whose job are to act as controllers. They are plus or minus 4 feet tall. That's your average Grey. Is what they are.
That looks like shit. What's the one dude?
Gatchaman?
No, the Valiant Forge.
Oh, Valiant Forge.
Yeah, they look
Valiant
like,
Thor.
Yeah, they look like Valiant Thor after he got circumcised.
Yeah, they do. Kind of on that.
Holy shit! It's a silverback gorilla.
So the next one are called the Throob, who are
that's a Throob.
Originally from it looks like a
yeah,
Throob.
You're much more of a Throob.
They're originally from the Draco constellation, and they're
Is that
like
his hair?
the head researchers. They're the ones in charge of like the Greys and stuff like
so
that.
that's probably like his brain.
Yeah, or his hat.
Dude, I wonder what his IQ is. It's probably like 4,000.
Yeah,
if you
fucking
can measure it.
Make Valiant Thor look like an idiot.
That dude's wicked smart.
He's
Dude, the guy
obviously
below him
wicked
looks
smart.
like a priest.
What do you think you are, a Throob?
And then there's the Flapsha. The Flapsha, they are a degenerative clone from the Throob, and have a low level of intelligence whose specific job are to act as workers, and they look like Pepe if he's been in the bath too long.
To me, he looks like an alligator man that's also a monk.
To me, it looks like a corn on the cob came to life and decided to smile at you.
It looks like that
Pepe the corn on the
guy
cob
got eaten by a big fish.
It totally does. He's like still sucking on his
What
head.
the
Then there's the they are a race of insectoids from Cassiopeia. Their specific job is the genetic research stuff. So they're the ones like trying to make a monkey with like 9 arms and like a anus for a mouth. Like that would be them. Then they have servants for the Zeta Reticulans also, like the Hiboot, which are a biological android with incredibly strong capacities. And apparently both the Nordics and the Oranges also use these kinds of robotic dudes to do the menial labor for them. So the last thing I have here about this is actually a report I found from the U.S. Forest Department. This guy had filed like Freedom of Information Act requests about like any files that the U.S. Forestry Department had on aliens or like UFOs or something inside their parks. And so this was one of the files they sent over from Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's dated Monday, December 30th of 2013 at 1:33 p.m. The subject line is "Secret Government Installation Being Built in the Salt River Canyon Area on the TNF. Call-in report today at front desk." And then the body of the email is David received a call this morning at the front desk from a male caller reporting the construction of a secret government installation upstream from the Salt River Canyon past Pinal Creek, upstream from Roosevelt Lake. Aliens and at least one detached head are involved. Caller claims to have seen construction cranes coming out of the side of the cliffs, miniature stealth planes and UFOs, aliens, and people working together at the site. Aliens eating people. He found a severed head and claims to have pictures of some of this stuff. Caller reported that he is 60, not crazy, and doesn't do drugs. He said he had already called the office at the lake, but he didn't know if those people were turning the other cheek or maybe they had been paid off. David had him leave a message with Bray. Please let me know if there are any talking points to be developed. I'm sure the Phoenix media will be all over this. Thanks. P.S. David and I aren't doing drugs either.
I bet the paying off thing kind of was interesting, I guess. You think they pay these people, like the government goes up to them, they're like, we'll give you 50 globorbs. And they're like, what the fuck is that? It's like,
globorbs are no good out here. We need something more real.
It's an alien currency. It's about to become the new norm.
Big
wink. And they're like,
Dogecoin.
Okay.
Sure thing.
We'll take 50
Scorblinks.
Like,
that's how the government pays a lot of people off.
Scorblinks.
They just make up a currency. No. This is real.
So here's one kind of nutso thing. That guy, Berkowitz, that I talked about in the beginning, Phil Berkowitz, the guy who had originally come up with the idea of the military bases, ended up later in life being purposely targeted by a guy who was like ex-CIA and like another quote-unquote ufologist who like faked a whole bunch of stuff to him, like, oh, we have all these leaks and we have all this information, and to the point where he had a mental break, like, from being so paranoid over like thinking people were out to get him and stuff like that, that he had like a psychotic break and ended up dying. So
shit.
So that's pretty nuts.
That dude karate chopped his brain.
Karate chopped his own brain in half. So, Palmer, what do you think about Dulce Base?
This is about Dulce Base? I thought we were talking about Rob Schneider.
Yeah, we were talking about Rob Schneider for a while.
That dude's dope. I think Dulcimer Base is about cooking humans in an alien version of a slow cooker, but we're being cooked alive and we just don't know it.
I believe it.
I think the Earth.
Humans are actually supposed to be immortal, but we're just getting cooked.
Yeah, the Earth is a crock pot vessel.
It's a pressure cooker.
Yeah,
that's why gravity is a thing.
And yeah, exactly.
Makes
and
sense.
And the water, the sea level's actually rising because all of the moisture's being cooked out of the planet, and we're slowly turning into a stew. The government's calling it the ice caps are melting, but really though we're actually being stewed.
No, you're right.
And sunscreen is really just a dry rub that they're forcing us to put on our bodies.
That's why some of it has that grainy stuff in it. That's actually the spices. You're rubbing into your pores.
And cancer is really just a government ploy to hide the fact that we're being stuffed full of the 11 secret herbs and spices.
And that's why our ocean is saltwater, because it's a brine. So it makes sense.
Yep.
Ryan, what do you think about Dulce Base?
I think that werewolf taints play into this more than we need to take another look at it.
One of the cool things I was reading about was that guy Thomas Castello was actually talking about like Big Feet that worked in there too, or like one of the alien races was like Bigfoot people and like things like that. Like according to him, it's not like he wasn't as terrified of everything as Schneider was. He wasn't like, oh, they're using us as juice boxes or whatever. He was like, I just think it's really fucked up. They have people in cages, and I don't really believe why they have people in cages. So, but he never saw like a couple draconians at a like lunch table crack open a couple of dudes and just start eating while they're like
Cracking
while they're on their break.
They were cracking open the boys with the cold ones.
Yeah, they're just like grabbing like a random janitor that walks by and just breaking him in half. And just like slurping.
That's what the lizard people say. Cracking open the boys with the cold one, but the cold ones are them because they're cold blooded. Is the location of this place known? Is it like Area 52 where it's like it's over there?
It's in
You'll
the
get
mountains,
shot walking over that way.
The mountains outside of Dulce, New Mexico. It's somewhere along the New Mexico-Colorado border. That's like the closest they have to like.
So it's in the Rockies.
Yes.
Silver bullet.
Yeah.
That's we're back to werewolves again.
Oh, I thought you were talking about beer.
but it's a werewolf thing because you gotta use some
one of the double entendres.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
That's how deep we are.
That is a high quality crafted joke that you can only get from our show.
We need to be getting paid for this.
That is.
Please subscribe to our Patronus.
That is the same high quality you get
Email
from
us.
from Budweiser, the most delicious beer that is not one of our sponsors,
but could
be. You see how easy it is to plug. They wouldn't even notice.
Phil Schneider, I will
subtle.
sell your book. I will do it. I don't care.
That's how you do subtext. Let me tell you something about subtext.
You know what? You know what I think about Dulce Base?
What do you think about it?
I think that the real Dulce Base is the
us.
friends that we made along the way. That's what I think.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Email us.
Subscribe.
Buy some merch. Leave us a review.
iTunes on MySpace.
Use adhesives wisely.
Shout out this week to the Ocula podcast that just came out. It's a true crime podcast, and it's dope. And I'm too stoned to remember the exact name, but I will definitely link it on our Twitter. What? You got a shout out this week, Palmer?
No.
I don't either.
I got a shout out to Thumbtacks.
Oh, I got a good one.
Okay.
What was that stuff called? Flex Seal.
Flex Seal. You know, you could saw a boat in half, and you can actually Flex Seal it back together again.
Mm-hmm.
That's how powerful this stuff is.
You could cut a door-shaped rectangle into a bottom of a boat, and then put a screen door in there, and Flex Seal it. Perfectly good boat again.
Mm-hmm.
They use Flex Seal on the space shuttle.
Yep.
First thing I thought.
I heard that. I think it was about like 74.3% Flex Seal by the time it got to the moon.
They sawed it in half.
But see, that's the secret. That's what NASA doesn't want you to know is they actually sawed it in half twice.
And then Flex Sealed it back together again.
Twice.
To make it more...
double the Flex Seal.
As a Cuban, when I first saw a can of Flex Seal, instantly I went, I could make a boat with that.
You went.
It's the first thing I thought.
You went, everything could be a boat with a little bit of Flex Seal.
With a little bit of Flex Seal. That's all you need.
And by a little bit of Flex Seal, I'm pretty sure to make a boat out of Flex Seal like they did in the infomercials, you had to use a 50-gallon drum of Flex Seal because there's no way one spray can is going to have that much Flex Seal in it unless it's some kind of weird...
Some sort of black magic.
Some sort of weird black magic fuckery.
What trickery is this?
It just keeps going. I'm pretty sure it's a demon.
It's in my colon. It's in my colon. Like Flex seals himself shut and then explodes because he has no way out.
Well, I saw another one on TV of one of those infomercials, but it was like a new one where it was like this weird drywall filler, and the guy was just like way too happy to be filling holes in a drywall. Just like, hey, look, here's another hole. Dough.
It's like, man, I'm good at this.
Oh, look how smooth it is.
His wife is like, yeah, do it. Yeah,
fill that hole.
Try doing a barrel roll.
Or husband. I don't discriminate. So, welcome
to Weird Shit Podcast.
Welcome to Weird Shit Podcast.
That was a very long intro. That was
got a big episode for you this week.
Yeah, that was quite a bit of banter.
Haha! Psych! We're actually leaving.
Oh.
Man, that episode was dope. You know what else would be dope? If you guys told us your paranormal stories. I know some of you have seen ghosts, some of you have seen fucking UFOs, some of you have seen Bigfoot. If you write into us, we have an email. It is weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. We really want to read you guys' emails. If you want to just give us a shout out, you can give us a shout out. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to record a voice message, I want to start putting voice shout outs at the beginning of every episode now. So if you send us those, that would be fucking dope. We have the Google Voice number. If you'd rather call up and leave us a voicemail, you can tell us your story that way. Send us some positivity, man. Keep the positivity coming. It's the number for that is 919-346-3071. That's 919-346-3071. We also have a Facebook group, the Weird Shit Podcast official Facebook group. We're on there all the time. We're posting memes. We want to talk to you guys. Fucking tweet at us. Fucking Facebook us. Fucking email us, man, because we love to hear from you and we want to keep doing this forever.
Hello, my darlings. I'm Sammy, the host of Encrypted. Every 2 weeks, I will bring you stories of mystery, true crime, and creepy. You can find me on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have a story? I would love to hear it. You can go to the Encrypted Podcast discussion group on Facebook. On Twitter, you can find us at EncryptedPod. Or you can go to accproductions.org/encrypted. Don't forget to lock your doors and hold tight to your flashlight.
Hey guys, I'm Nick.
And I'm Joe. And we are the Fringe Boys.
The hosts of Cast into the Fringe, a weekly dive into time travel,
aliens,
conspiracies,
nerdy virgins,
and many other strange things the government doesn't want you to know.
Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Cast into the Fringe.
And check out our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
Hi, this is Jim.
And this is Annabelle.
Together, we bring you the Forgotten News Podcast.
We tell true stories from long ago. Stories from before you were born. Stories that made headlines for a week or a month, then vanished, just as suddenly. We look for these long-lost stories, then brush off the dust and share them with you, as fresh as the day they were first told.
One thing we definitely promise you, the stories you will hear will always be a surprise, and it will be a true story.
It might be a crime story. It might be a strange or spooky story. It might be a funny story.
If you are someone who might like to hear lost stories like these, then you should definitely listen to the Forgotten News Podcast.
The Forgotten News Podcast is available on iTunes, also known as Apple Podcasts, as well as Google Play, Podbay, Player FM, and nearly every app for listening to podcasts.
I don't know what else to say, except be sure to listen to the Forgotten News Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Steven.
And this is Chris.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Is This Adulting?
Every week, we're going to sit down to have a discussion about life,
culture, our own mental health struggles, and just about anything you can think of.
Have you ever wondered which breakfast cereal's the best?
Or how to help your friends who are dealing with mental illness?
Or why waterbeds were a thing?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, then have we got a show for you.
And remember, kids, be happy, stay healthy, and go hug someone.
Because you never know. They might just be starting a podcast.
Oh, hey there. I didn't see you. I'm Sarah, the host of the Salty Canadian podcast. If you want a podcast that is full of fun, rants, reviews, and just random stuff, then this is a podcast for you. We can be found on any podcast catcher, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and have a great day. Eh?
Hey everybody, Mike here. I just want to take a second to talk to you about our Patreon we have set up at www.patreon.com/weirdshitpodcast. Basically, Patreon is a way where fans and listeners like yourselves can choose an amount every month to donate towards the show. Your donations will be put towards buying new equipment. It'll be put towards buying munchies because fucking Palmer is insatiable. It'll be put towards helping us pay our dues for hosting the show and for keeping the websites going. And honestly, the main thing it'll help us do is let me take more time to do more research on these topics. I have a full-time job. I work 60 hours a week, and then I spend 40 hours doing research for you guys because I love this show and I want to give you the best thing I possibly can. So if you have anything you want to give us, if you think we deserve anything for that work, feel free to go to Patreon and donate whatever you can. If not, man, it's cool. Like, I love every single one of you, and I'm so glad you're listening. Just share the show with whoever you think would be interested, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks.